welcome to your English class. Today we will continue the play we were studying in the previous video from your course book, chapter 7, 41. We will start from page 83 onwards. So let's start with this video. So let's start with page number 83. We will continue the reading. Dunham removes 2 plates and Aline changes the table cards. That's shame. I'm heartbroken. My dear, how can we get along without you? But have you really tried? Goodbye, dear. She hangs up the receiver and takes it down again. Well, I'm glad she dropped out. Central, give me Lakeview 5971. Has Mr. Morgan come in yet? Well, don't give him the message I telephoned before about crossing the street to Mrs. Pringle's for dinner. It's too late, you understand? She hangs up the receiver. Well, anyway, I have invited Clem, returned my indebtedness. Elaine, but mother, if you only have 12 people, father can't sit at the head of the table. Mrs. Pringle, but he has to sit at the head. It looks too undignified when the man of the house is pushed to the side. Elaine, there's no other way. There has to be a woman at each end. Mrs. Pringle, how absurd. She goes around the table looking at the place cards. I don't want to put any of these women at the heads. There's Mrs. Darby, such a cat, I wouldn't give her the honor. Telephone rings in the meanwhile. Answer it, Dunham, she says. Dunham, hello, Mrs. Pringle's residence. Mr. Darby, that's doctor, says your baby has the chicken pox. Yes, sir, I'll give the message, sir. He hangs up the receiver. Owing to the infectiousness of disease, Mr. and Mrs. Darby feel obliged to regret and also their house guest, Mr. and Mrs. Heathwood. And he continues speaking. Mrs. Pringle, that's 4 out, Elaine. Then you're only 8. Quick, the plates. Dunham, she begins to remove the chairs and gathers up silver and plates feverishly. Mrs. Pringle, getting more and more upset, helps. Mrs. Pringle, don't we know someone to invite at the last minute? Elaine, the Greens? Mrs. Pringle, she's not interesting enough. Elaine, Mr. Conley? Mrs. Pringle, he never makes a dinner call, even after all the times I have invited him. Elaine, Hazard Longley? Mrs. Pringle, not at the same table with you and Oliver Farnsworth. She's far too pretty, too clever. Elaine, where's our book? She runs her fingers down the address book. The Tuppers? Mrs. Pringle, the Tuppers, good heavens. Elaine, 6 in the family. Elaine, that would get us back to 14. Then father could sit at head of the table. So this is the discussion going between Mrs. Pringle and her daughter. As one more guest has dropped out, so they are left with 12 guests. So she is making arrangements for the another guest at the last minute. So they are making arrangements and they are trying to contact more people so that they can have 14 guests again. Mr. and Mrs. Darby, they have also refused to come because of their baby. She is being infected by chicken pox. So Elaine is suggesting some names, the Greens, the Conley, Hazard Longley and all. And in the end, she recommended the name Tuppers. So Mrs. Pringle says that yes, they are 6 in the family. So we are left with 8 guests only. So if they are means accepting the invitation, then we will have the 14 guests again. So in this way, when there will be 14 guests, then father, he can, Mr. Pringle, he can also sit at the head of the table and it will look nice and dignified also. So this is the discussion going on. So continuing to page number 84, Mrs. Pringle, well, try them while I see to the things. Elaine, at the telephone. Ridgeway 9325. This is Elaine Pringle. What Tupper am I speaking to? Oh, Ella, hello. I hope you haven't finished your dinner. We had a party arranged here and the last moment everybody is dropping out. The blizzard. Can't you flock your family around the corner and eat with us? Mother and I thought we know well enough to call you like this at the 7th hour. You would? Oh, fine. 6 more plates, Dunham. What? Oh, well. Yes, of course. Why certainly yes, my dear, all right. She hangs up the receiver and puts her hand on her to her head. Great Caesar, now what have I done? Mrs. Pringle, what is it? Elaine, I invited Ella and the family. She accepted, and then she said we had 2 house guests also, and would it be all right? And I said it would, and now we are 16. So when Elaine, she called up Ella, she said that in the Tuppers family there are 6 members. So all of them, they will be coming along with them. Their 2 house guests are also coming to the dinner. So now they are left. Now there will be 16 guests in all. Mrs. Pringle, that's just like you, Elaine. No fact, no tact, no worldly wisdom. If I would have been at the phone, I would have politely said that my table and so on. She continues speaking. Dunham, the dishes, ma'am, and we only have 14 scraps. Elaine, I won't eat any. Scrap, this is the flesh of young pigeon which is eaten as food in New York. So their arrangements have been mismanaged because of 2 additional guests. Mrs. Pringle, we will have to make the best of it and insert another board to the table to seat the extra guest. Elaine, but mother, I need not sit at the table. Mrs. Pringle, pointing to the chair authoritatively. You are going to sit right next to Oliver Farnsworth. Now I don't wish to hear another word about it. Dunham, Cook is in rage, ma'am. She says she has only prepared for 14. Mrs. Pringle, I can't help it. She will have to prepare for 16. Tell her to open the cans of soup and vegetables and all. Dunham, but the ice cream forms in guillotine molds. Elaine, I'll pretend I don't like them. Mrs. Pringle, I'll pretend I'm on diet. Elaine, but I really don't have to be at the table. Mrs. Pringle, be still. The telephone rings and she says, the telephone, puts her hand to her head. Now what? Don't answer it. So this is the conversation going on between them. Elaine, she is again and again trying to convince her mother that she don't want to sit at the table, but her mother, she authoritatively orders her that she has to sit next to Mr. Oliver because her main motive is that she should marry Mr. Oliver. So she is forcing her that she has to sit at the table, and the cook is really angry because she has prepared dinner for 14 guests only. Now because of Ella, 6 in the family plus 2 house guests, they have total 16 guests. So they have to make extra arrangement. Let's continue the reading. She goes herself as Elaine and Dunham do not go. Hello. Yes, this is Mrs. Pringle. Jessica? What? The blizzard? You're cold? Too dangerous. She waves to Dunham not to put the board in the table. They are delighted, relieved. She continues talking. Jessica, you poor dear. Yes, your husband's right. It would be foolhardy. Put on a mustard plaster and go to bed. So sorry. She hangs up the receiver. They're wonderful. Now we are just 14. So she received a call from Jessica, and she's again, they have 2 guests more who are dropping out. That is Jessica and her husband. Because of some medical issues, they are not able to come. So again, they're left with 14 guests. So she waved her hand to Dunham that he should not make extra arrangements for the 2 additional guests because they will be 14 again. Elaine, but the cards are all wrong. Only 6 are coming who were invited originally. You will have to make another diagram. Mrs. Pringle, give it to me. She quickly makes the new diagram. Elaine, here are the fresh cards. She tears up the old cards and goes to help Dunham, who is maddening time with the table. Initially, they have called 14 guests, and out of those original invitations, only 6 people are actually coming out of them. So extra 8 place cards have to be made again because the 8 people are the guests who are invited at the last moment. So they have to readjust the place cards. So all this they are doing, and they are managing their dinner party again. So this is the play in which Mrs. Pringle, she is playing the leading role, and she has arranged for the dinner, and she is a very good hostess also. So her main motive for this dinner is to find a suitable match for her daughter, and she strongly wants that Mr. Oliver should marry her daughter. So This is the play relating to a social satire of New York in 20th century. So the second part of this play, 14:2, that chapter we will continue in the next video. So this was all about the play part 1. In next video, we will study chapter 8, 14, part 2. If you have any doubt, you can drop me on Google Class. Take care, Shem Stars. Thank you all of you.